Hey guys, so today we're going to be talking about comic books and storytelling. So, the history of comic books. The comic books started out as comic strips around the early 1800s. They were featured in newspapers and magazines. Cartoons were drawn as pictorial strips in a directional movement that replicates movement of a scene, usually done in 1 to 8 frames. A lot of the movies we have today were inspired by comic books. A lot of the TV shows, Riverdale is a good example of one of them. Here's a video you can watch in your free time. It shows a comic strip that has been voiced over. Calvin and Hobbes, one of the most famous ones. When did they start? They started around 1842. With the first comic book was titled The Adventures of Otobiah Oldbook, which was sold as a hardcover, so that makes it pretty expensive. Normally they are paperback. Some of the world's greatest characters started from comic books: Superman, Batman, Catwoman. A lot of people you see in today's television. Archie from Riverdale, like I said earlier, he was comic book character. Garfield, another comic strip character. Common themes you might see in comic books are superheroes, so Batman, Catwoman, things like that. Everyday life. So everyday life could mean everyday life can mean like routines. So going to school, for instance, that's your everyday life. Sometimes people write about that, like Riverdale. I mean, they're going to high school. They're a bunch of high school kids. So it's depicting their everyday life, except making it more interesting by the fact that they have like a lot of weird stuff happening to them. Um, Very good storyline if you've never seen it. Science fiction. So that could be talking about like aliens, robots, things you make up like outer space, different dimensions, portals. And then finally, there's biography, which is a story about you. So just talk about yourself. Um, I mean, everybody has an interesting story to tell. So, people do write books about themselves and people find it interesting. That's why you see like TV shows that are uh, all about reality, like reality TV shows. Here's some examples. This is a cute little comic strip of, it looks like Batman and Robin Hood. Says, I'm not working with that thing. I'm hungry. A little Batman on his shoulder. For crime. Thought that was adorable. So intro to hero, conflict, hero saves the day. That's usually like the basis for the superhero story. So they're introduced to the character, whether he Batman when he was an orphan, and then the conflict that arose within him, fighting crime. I think he actually started out as a villain. And then hero saves the day, and that's the example here. Everyday life example. So this girl over here says, I'm going to be productive today. That's what I always tell myself too. And then she's playing Sims on her computer. So that's an example of, everyday life. Or playing with your cat. Down here is another example. Could be mundane or average, things that happen to everyone. Brushing your teeth, going to school, like I mentioned. My dog ate my homework. That's a great excuse. That's an excuse to hear in everyday life as a teacher. Science fiction. This one I find pretty cool. These look like little robots. Some space creatures in the back. And then there's a person that looks like he got stuck in this reality. So, what do I mean? Aliens imagined from future events, environmental changes like maybe two moons or flying cars. People now live on the moon. Zeta, the space girl, is what this is taken from. This comic strip, which I think is also a comic book. Biography. This artist, Adam Ellis, he depicts himself just everyday life, like what he's doing. So here he's drinking, it looks like iced coffee. Cool, I can relate to that. This is where you'll tell an interesting event or thing that has happened to you, something exciting or important. Clues in a beginning, middle, and end. Here's an example that I would say is I went to Disneyland, had an amazing time, and then I went home. It doesn't have to be that exciting, but has to have a beginning, middle, and end. So for your project, I want you guys to pick a theme, character, a story idea from the four that I've listed. Pre-plan your story. So in your sketchbook, you can pre-plan it out, write it out if you need to, brainstorm ideas. There will also be a folder, a link in Schoology where I'll have a brainstorming video for you guys to watch. Sketch out your story. Fold your comic book, which I have a video as well on Schoology, and I will also demo it in class. Begin adding everything into your comic book. So your story, you can color it, sketch it out, make sure it has a character, one character at least in there. And then finally turn it into me.